All right. Welcome back to another episode of Light Skin Pod, and we made it to 50. It's a big number. I remember we were trying to get to like 30 or 20.
Yeah, quarter century.
Quarter
We
century.
used to say. Now we're half century.
Call us Joe Rogan, not McCord. But anyway, today we're here. Good friend of mine. If you want to introduce yourself.
Hi, my name's Chris Adatte. I'm the owner of A.G. O'Brien. I usually just tell people I work there. But yeah, we're a plumbing and heating company based up in Hermantown.
Awesome. Hey, thanks for being on with us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
You bet,
This is
man.
great.
Take care. Well, like always, tell us about baby Chris. Start from the beginning.
Yeah, so I was born in Duluth. My family lived in Superior for like a very brief stint. And then I think within a month or two, we moved back to Duluth. Grew up on the East End. I went to Holy Rosary. I went to Catholic school. K through 8.
Okay.
And that ended up having kind of an impact on me. I'm now like I moved me in like ironically like an atheist direction. I'm more like just kind of not anti-theist by any stretch of the imagination, but just going to church a couple times a week. I'm more of like a kind of I refer myself as a submarine Catholic, right? Kind of like I love the church. I think the church does great things. Just not for me. I'm underwater most of the year, and then I surface right around Christmas time.
The holidays.
For Mass.
That's fun. There's so
Like
many.
90% of them.
For sure. There's so many terms.
Yeah.
Well, I thought he was going to say, like, I'm a recovering Catholic. You know, a lot of people, which it's just a term I hear so much. I said, what the hell does that even mean? I have no idea what it means, but.
Grocery cart Catholic. I take what I want. I leave what I don't on the shelf. You know. No, my parents were super bummed out, but it was just, and I think, and again, I want to clarify. I think churches, organized religions do wonderful things for the community and are super helpful. It was just, honestly, just going to church. I'm just kind of lazy. Just going to church just wasn't for me.
Yeah, no, I get it. We grew up, my grandmom, we stayed in church. Me and Joe was talking about it this morning, just like churches, black churches where I'm from.
Yeah.
It's an all-day endeavor, you know, and
Really?
you can't plan nothing else. The only thing you plan after church is dinner. That's it, because... And my grandmom is early, so she goes to the sunrise service, it's called, 6 a.m. You're there. 6 a.m., church starts at 6:15. Oh, yeah. And it's live right off the bat. They start with a prayer. As soon as that organ hit, boom, choir's up, they going to work. They going to sing until 7:30, okay? Pastor get up, offering time. They going to break out into other songs. All right, it's 8 now. We still ain't heard the message. Me and my little brother like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? My cousins. We just waiting for children's church to start. Children's church start around like 8:30. Kids get out. We hype now. Oh, let's go. Because they got snacks and stuff downstairs, you know. But we don't get out of church until 10 that morning. We might leave, go to the store quick. The afternoon service, 10:15, 10:30. And you going. Then if my grandma really is she feeling that Lord? She going to like evening service, 4 o'clock. I'm like, oh yeah, Ooh. We might as well stay the night at this point.
That's like a marathon.
Oh, it's
I mean,
no joke.
6 a.m. Why does it go so long, or why would it?
I don't know. I just when we get down, we get down. You know, like that's the best
Black
way.
churches are way funner though.
Oh, for sure.
hell.
They fun as hell, but at the same time, and I'm gonna be honest, I couldn't imagine only going for an hour and a half because, like, what do you do? You know, I remember my first time going to like a white church, and it was they
Super
sung
boring.
only hymns.
Oh, yeah.
But when they tried to sing like contemporary music, they wouldn't have drums in the church, so they had this drum pad.
Oh yeah.
And I said, what the fuck is this person doing? It was the wildest thing I've ever seen.
Oh, it's just like aerobics class. Kneel, sit, stand, kneel, sit,
Yeah.
stand. It just wasn't for me. A black church seems super fun. I've never been to one though.
Yeah, you know what? We all gonna go. We're gonna take a trip. We're gonna
go light skin pod.
Light skin pod. Yeah, it's gonna be jumping too. So
I couldn't do Sunday mornings anymore, and that's the best thing my church did. Saturday afternoon, then we're there.
Yeah.
That's easy.
yeah.
Weekends I need my sleep, man. I mean, I got wicked bad sleep apnea, so like any sleep I can get, I need to get it. You know what I mean? So mobilizing to Mass early, that was tough.
Yeah, for
You
sure.
know?
Do you wear CPAP?
No, I don't wear a
I was
CPAP.
same thing.
I have a medical device in my chest. I got the Inspire. I watched the TV ad. I went and did the Ask Your Doctor, because I was supposed to wear the CPAP, and I had like the Maverick fighter pilot mask because I stopped breathing. Like 15 to 20 times an hour.
Damn.
Because I was just like, I'd be sleeping, and then my wife would just be like you're snoring, and it was just like, and you're suffocating yourself, and the doctor was just like, yeah, man, if you don't do something about that, you're gonna get like heart disease
and die.
You're gonna get heart disease. You're gonna get dementia, and I felt super claustrophobic in the mask, and I tried the nose, tried the face thing, I did the whole gamut, and then I just gave up. And then I got this device in my chest. They fished up some wire up my throat, and basically it just does like, I know it sounds crazy, it does like low voltage, like some kind of electrotherapy shock on my throat.
Does your wife get a button for that?
Yeah, no, we call it the garage door opener. It's just like this thing, and I fire it up over my chest, and
I love it.
It's super effective. It's super effective. So, yeah, sleep apnea is no joke. Get yourself checked if you have any doubts.
Oh, for sure. I went for years having sleep apnea, and I always pushed it off. Everybody told me to go in and get the testing.
Because it
once
sucks.
I did, it's like the whole world is different.
Yeah.
You got CPAP?
Yeah, I got a CPAP. I tried the face thing. I tried the nasal pads.
Oh, yeah.
That I couldn't do. It hurt my nose.
Yeah.
So I ended up getting the one that just goes over your nose.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, the little pillow thing?
Not the pillow thing. That's the first thing I tried.
Oh.
This one is it's like a mini mask, but it goes over your whole nose.
And can you move with that? Like, okay.
Yeah, there's a hose that comes out the front and it kind of swivels.
I'm glad I'm not old.
Yeah, and so you'll get there.
I won't.
You gotta clean that out. You gotta get the water in there and all this stuff. No, they find that like more and more people are getting sleep apnea. It's not just like you snoring. Because I wasn't really snoring, but I was just constantly groggy.
That's because you wasn't breathing.
Yeah, right.
You couldn't snore.
Yeah, right. No, for sure. Yeah, no, 100%. But no, I mean, same thing with you, Joe. I for sure know when I notice when I'm not sleeping with it. Because you just wake up groggy, and it's just like until I get like 5 gallons of coffee in me.
Exactly.
So.
All right, so that was a great tangent. We love going off on tangents.
No.
Beautiful.
So I went to Holy Rosary. I graduated, went to East. That was kind of a culture shock, just going to like a public school. I was super intimidated because I used to walk. Holy Rosary's right next to East High School, so I used to walk by East on my way home from school, and I just looked like, just the dork in the uniform, you know what I mean? So I was always very intimidated of public school
Judging
kids.
all the sinners.
No, I was worried about getting
goddamn.
I was always worried about getting bullied, because I just felt so nerdy. But no, I went to East. It was great. Tried to play football. I sucked. Did a lot of bench warming. Did a lot of class clowning. Just kind of didn't take school as seriously as I should have. Graduated, kind of dithered around at Lake Superior College. Again, I was so aimless, and I knew I wanted to go do something. I couldn't quite put my finger on what that was. And then I left Lake Superior College because I just wasn't doing anything. I didn't really know. I was just like going to school to go to school because that's what everyone told. They were like, when I graduated in 2007, and basically, if you weren't going to go to college, like you were for sure going to be poor. That was kind of like, don't go into construction, don't go into the building trades. Your only way to make it is to go further your education.
That is so crazy because you hear that. I remember even growing up for us, it was like, yo, if we don't get to college, we're done. Like we're going to be
that was the narrative.
I mean, we're on drugs at this point.
And now we're all realizing, there are some subjects or whatever degrees that it makes sense.
Engineering and probably chemistry and medical. That's it, especially around here.
STEM field.
That's it. And I tell STEM. That's it. I tell our kids all the time because they get nervous. I say, do you understand you can go into trades and be better off than most people who go to college? Because one, you ain't gonna have debt. Two, you get out, you learn a trade and get to a point where you can start your own company, and thrive. And the trades dying for people right now, so.
There's a huge brain drain. I read some statistic, I don't have it in front of me to cite, but it was basically for every 5 plumbers that retire, 1 is going back into the industry, right? And we're kind of looking down the barrel, this is my opinion, but like you're looking down the barrel of a workplace or a marketplace that is just saturated with college degrees and an acute shortage of people that want to work with tools and like do the work. And so, you see labor is just kind of it's just super expensive.
Yeah. Well, and I think that goes hand in hand with like the family, dynamic, because growing up, even though like we didn't have 2 parents in the house, my dad made sure we knew how to use power tools, how to build things. I mean, he said, if I'm gonna teach you anything other than these streets, you gonna learn how to take care of shit when it break. And I love that. And I got kids right now in high school. We were building something over at the center. Oh no, I was hanging up TV mounts.
Yeah.
I had kids who didn't even know how to like change the direction on the drill, how to put a new bit on, and it was like, dang. And
look at them stairs they built.
Oh my gosh. I think about that all the time.
I hate to reference a cartoon, but I think South Park had an episode. Nobody knows how to do anything anymore. You know what I mean? Since I kind of moved into the office, because I used to be working in the field, swinging the tools, and I don't really work with the tools as much anymore. My skills have atrophied. I'm useless. That's kind of the running joke at home about just my wife's just like, God, you're so useless, But I mean,
not breathe.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So no, so I left LSC. And I was truly rudderless. I was like, I don't want to go into construction. I don't know. And my parents had owned A.G. O'Brien at the time, and it was right after the housing bubble had popped. Things were tough. Things were slow. At the time, the company was doing fire protection, fire sprinklers, fire suppression systems. So I got in as I'd always kind of worked on and off for my parents, like truck driving, doing odds and ends, wasn't sure if that was for me. And then she got in as like a sprinkler apprentice, hated it. Hated it because it was so oily. It was like, because when you're threading pipe, you need oil to do it. And it was just like, you were just so saturated in oil by the end of the day, and it was so dirty. I was just being, a
bougie.
sissy. Yeah, bougie. I was being bougie, right? And I was just like, man, I don't know if I want this. And then, so I quit that, and then there was an opportunity to get into plumbing. And I was like, okay, worst case, maybe if things work out with my parents, or if they don't, like, I remember thinking, like, I could at least barter skills with other people. Like, hey, I could come fix your toilet, fix your faucet, maybe you do something for me, like, because I really wasn't sure where I was going to end up or how that was going to shake out. And I got into the apprenticeship. My dad threw me on commercial jobs, and I struggled. I really struggled. Just working construction, understanding the concepts. I just kind of struggled in academic situations, period, because I was always kind of a class clown. And it was right around this time where I was just like, man, I have some wicked bad ADHD, because I'd be working on jobs with like, these men who hate me because I'm my father's son, right? And they'd be giving me like super critical directions of how to run, giant pipes and like run it here, go that way. And I'm just kind of like looking at them like, what am I doing after work? Like, I can't wait to not be doing this.
And that's why the guys couldn't stay.
And I'd go do the task, and be like, fuck the job up. And then they'd just be like, God, I hate this kid. You know what I mean? And then I went and saw a doctor, because I was like, man, my like what people are saying, where my head's at, and then how I just conveniently tie in at the end, it's just something's not clicking, right? So I got on like weapons grade Adderall, got a prescription, really helped me out, really helped me like connect the dots. I still struggled with commercial construction. I really preferred service, like residential service, working with people. It's a different pace, fixing problems, getting into like, just meeting people where they're at, almost like a hero in like a cheesy way. Like, man, I don't have any water, or I got shit coming out of my floor.
You don't have
like,
water. Chris Adatte will be there.
It was not. It was just like, and like, you got to make your own schedule. You know what I mean? It wasn't. Commercial work is just so thankless. It's just like a grind. Get in, get out, hurry up. It's cool being a part of these projects, but it's a hustle where I just felt a greater appreciation being in service.
Yep.
You know, so I did that, and around 2016, I was running my one and only commercial project. It was the Fond du Lac Care Clinic right downtown, right on 4th Street, and I was running like the tail end of it, just trying to button that up. And I had my first dog, Atlas, at the time, and I was walking Chester Bowl, and it was around like 9:30 at night, and I just kind of sent my dog kind of like going up the trail. I used to do that. I'll sometimes walk them off leash, and I'll give them like the impression that I'm going one way, so they run ahead. I go the other way, then they kind of double back and run fast. And I was by. I live in Chester Bowl.
Okay.
Right off 17th, and I was at that kind of like where that bridge spans over the creek, and I was just picking a song on my iTunes, and then I turned, and my dog came sprinting back, and he clipped my hip, and I slid down this hill, and like overlooking the waterfall, I fell 20 feet, and I smashed up my feet. So I broke my left ankle, and I destroyed my right heel.
Damn.
And yeah, I remember like I came up, because I fell in like the creek, swam to the side, and I remember my feet were just like this, and I was like, oh man, these are definitely sprained.
Yeah.
You know, like I never really,
I just rolled it.
I never really got like a serious injury before. And fast forward, basically, I was in a wheelchair for 6 months, but that's how I got into the office, right? I was kind of, because my father didn't really want to bring me in. He was really just like, didn't want to be, he was like, man, you're already kind of a product of nepotism. Like, I don't really want to bring you in the office. Brought me into the office. I worked with my mother in the service department, learned how to price out jobs, price out toilets, calculate labor, material, that kind of thing. Learned commercial estimating, commercial
PM.
Yeah, PM, that kind of a thing. Eventually worked my way into buying them out this year. So, I mean, that's really how I kind of got into it. I didn't think I wanted to go into construction, but I definitely fell in love with plumbing and just our side of the industry, which is plumbing, heating. We don't do fire protection anymore. We couldn't make any money doing that, so we shut that division down a few years ago. But
why? And I'm just asking, why doesn't fire protection make money?
it does. We just couldn't make money doing it.
All right, no,
I mean, I think like the last year we did it, it was like $1 million in revenue, and then we made like $4,000, and I was just like, Jesus Christ, we're never gonna, how are we gonna do this? You know, and so we swapped out a manager, and this is actually kind of it's a sad story, but we brought on a manager, a gentleman from the cities. He was enormous. He looked like he was like an O lineman for like the Minnesota Vikings, and he took charge, thought he was gonna turn our fire protection division around, and he ended up actually never leaving his employer in the cities and working for us at the same time because he was working remote. So he was doing 2 full-time jobs.
That's crazy.
And I can't remember how we found that out, but they were like, yeah, so-and-so I'm pretty sure still works this job because we were talking to a vendor. Called him, caught him in a lie, he was bullshitting. I was like, damn, dude, you're actually, I mean, despite the fact that you're working 2 jobs, you're actually doing a really good job. Like, I'd almost, if you weren't lying, I'd maybe even keep you on. But it was around that time we just closed it. I just couldn't. Fire protection is so specialized. It's my personal opinion. I don't see why it isn't just plumbing work. It's pipes and water, but it's super specialized. It's super. It's everywhere you go. You absolutely need it. You're starting to see it more in residential applications because they do prevent. They do. You're gonna soak the shit out of your house if there's ever a fire, but it's better than. And I'm not dogging the fire department, but by the time the fire department gets to your house, I mean, they're coming out with the battle axes. You know, I mean, they're going to blast their way and put that fire out.
So here's a question for you.
Yeah.
The sprinklers go off.
Yep.
The first 10 seconds is like black sludge. It's just nasty water.
Why I left the trade. You're running black Schedule 40 pipe, right? And the water, ideally in the best situation, you fill up a fire sprinkler system and then you never use it. So the water just sits in this black pipe and then it just gets dirty and stinky and smelly and it's gross. But sometimes you got to go modify a system, add on to a system, drain it down, do some maintenance work, and it's just like, it just stinks.
Yeah.
Not saying like poop water smells any better, but I just, for whatever reason, I preferred that.
I got a quick story.
Yeah.
So me and my brother, we were living in Virginia, not Virginia, Minnesota, but the state. We lived in Virginia Beach, and we had lived in a shelter down there for like 7 months, me, my brother, and my mom. And then we ended up moving back to Jersey and lived in this like battered women's shelter there for maybe a year, 9 months or a year.
Yeah.
But we washed clothes one day, and my mom wanted us to hang everything up. But she said, make sure there's some room so the air can come through. My dumb ass see this sprinkler thing.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm going to hang the shirt on the fucking sprinkler. Soon as I put it up there, black stuff everywhere, okay? And keep in mind, it's not big at all where the little apartment thing we was at. 1 bedroom, living room, kitchen, shit. Within 10 minutes, we probably had 3 inches of water all throughout the apartment.
Oh, yeah.
And my mom not home. And we just looking like, what the fuck do we do? We're all the way on the top floor. So now we hear people coming up the hallways, banging on every door. What the fuck is going on? And we just like, dog.
Oh, yeah.
We thought about, we should jump out the window, like kind of scale the building. So we was like, I don't know. Let's call my mom real quick. So we call my mom. Say, hey, there's flooding in the building.
Oh, yeah.
She's like, what? What happened? I said, we don't know. They're just flooding. She said, how's it flooding and we're on the top floor? Shit, she got us. I didn't think about that.
Those systems are no nonsense, man.
And they stay running until the fire department turns that shit off.
Yeah, you got to get there and you got to shut the main off.
Man,
and like you can fuck up a building fast.
Yeah.
Because anytime you're on a job, it's almost like sometimes I tell people, I'm like, hey man, treat that sprinkler head like a stick of dynamite. You see people like painting, running stuff, ladders.
And they're flimsy.
It's basically just like a thin vial, and and they're color coded by temperature. And once a room, the movies always show it, like you pull a sprinkler alarm or there's some smoke. It's just based off temp. Once a room reaches a certain temperature, the vial explodes, the water just blasts out. So you just really.
So that vial is basically holding the valve back.
Correct. Or just the water back, So, no, we got out of that. Wish we didn't. I almost didn't want to shut it down because I was like, oh, man, it like hurt my feelings. Like I failed at something, But I was just like, man, let's just turn our guns on like what we're good at, like what we can do effectively. Like mechanical, HVAC, plumbing, service it, put it in, commercial, residential applications, and just stay in our lane. Stay in your lane. I think so many people just try to do everything, or you kick out of your punt coverage, and that's where you get in trouble.
How is it? So now that you are kind of, I guess, are you just sole owner of the company now?
Yeah.
How is it for you being on this side of it now compared to being in the field?
Super stressful. Super. It's kind of like, I think when I was swinging the tools, there's always a perception. It's like, oh man, everybody in the office is a dick. Like it's just like that's like Club Med up in there. Like get me up in that, And then you get there, and it just the best way I can describe it to bridge the divide. If you're outside and you're working with the tools and you're destroying your body, if you're inside, you're destroying your mind, right? Just I think like with the stress, the nicest thing about working inside is, climate control. If it's wet outside, it's dry inside. But I think like a lot more of the weight, the mental baggage chases you home. Like, oh my gosh, are we gonna get this work? Are we gonna win this job? Are we gonna do this? Or, so on and so forth. And I was definitely a much better administrator than I was like a tradesman. I'll definitely. I don't really care saying that, but I definitely enjoy it. I try to. In this position now, it's funny. Something I did a little bit differently from my parents is I just tried to empower people to take on certain roles and positions that were better than I was at the job. Get people who are smarter than me, and get the right people in the right seats, and then let's just get on the attack. You know what I mean? And it worked pretty good. Eventually, God, kind of push myself out of a job eventually because I love ripping. You know, that's our slang term for just estimating jobs. You know, budgeting, doing estimates, negotiating stuff. I wasn't really an effective project manager. It depends on who I was working with, because management's tough. You got to have like a lot of uncomfortable conversations with people all the time.
Skin.
You got to thick skin. That's what I said, man. You're not going to be everybody's buddy all the time. You know what I mean? It's like, you got to tell people to do this right, or they can't do that, or you know what I mean? And I was sometimes a doormat. Like, it was just like, there's dudes who've been doing this way longer than me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, hey, you can't do that. And just be like, hey, man, shut up. You know, so I was like, I got to get people who are much better at these uncomfortable conversations than I am. You know, because it's not my skill set, you know?
So let's educate some people here. So
For sure.
You're involved with the trades union.
Yes.
Correct. Okay.
Local 11, local 10.
Yes. So, well, first of all, can you be in the union because you manage the company?
I was in the union, and then I was up until just a few years ago. I'm still like affiliated in a way, but I'm not, because it's like your management. You know, it kind of like blurs those lines a little bit. You know, but we work hand in hand with the union. It's contract negotiation time, so you know there'll be some rams on the mountain a little bit as far as like where we end up with that. But no, I mean, as far as like workforce development, getting people developed, getting them through the pipeline, we work hand in hand all the time.
Because I grew up, nobody in my family was in the union. I mean, some of my uncles or whatever. So we didn't really grow up in a union household. I sort of thought, I don't know about these unions, whatever, until I ran for office.
Yeah.
And started like meeting all these union leaders and meeting with the unions. And I'm like, okay, you guys got a good thing going on. So what is it, how many companies are union versus non-union, and what's the benefits of being in it?
So like our competitors, you mean?
Yeah.
So I'd say like a lot of the major action in town, like the big cats, you know, they're mostly union. There's not a lot of commercial contractors locally that I'm privy to that are non-union. It's mostly, you're going to see non-union outfits on the residential side, like commercial, you know. But I mean, and I'm not dogging the unions, but sometimes they can be like the mob. You know what I mean? They find out you're doing a job, they're going to go blow up that big old rat and give you a hard time to hire organized labor. And look, when I'm trying to snipe people from some of these other companies to come join our team, I say the same thing to every non-union guy. I'm like, look, man, you don't have to come work for us if you don't want to, but like, you'd be a fool to not get organized and join the union. Just like the benefits speak for themselves. Pension, retirement, all these bennies. It's I mean,
sending people to lay one pipe.
Oh yeah.
Benefit.
Well, I mean, I think that's kind of like the counter ball bust. It's just like, oh man, they're lazy. You need like 8,000 dudes to do that. You know, like we don't need that. And it's like, yeah, man, you might not need like 10 dudes to like help you put that pipe in, but man, you'd be silly to turn away the pay.
Yeah, you would. Yeah. There's some jobs out there, some union jobs where we just got a girl into not so long ago. For all the big jobs, all she do is hold the sign.
Oh God, man, I weigh heavy.
$24 an hour.
Wow. And I'll say this
God
too.
damn.
The union versus non-union, like just the work that's done. I mean, union work is always perfect. It really is.
Has to be. I mean, look, man. We're not doing like a beautiful facade, or it's the same thing I say. It's like what we do when it's done right. No one's gonna give a shit. No one's gonna notice. But like, it's got to be straight. It's got to be symmetrical. It's got to be true. You know, I went down south a few times this winter. I just, you know, not to be like meh, but I get a little seasonal depression, a little bit. Just gotta get out of Duluth, like January. It just bums me out. You know, leaving for work it's dark, coming back it's dark. But like, you go down south and you go and you look at some of these furnaces or just some of the craftsmanship, and it's just like, man. Stuff looks like shit. Yeah, you know, they don't care. In and out. Just like throw that in, get out. And it's just like, no, it's like, hey, we're gonna take a little bit more time. It's gonna be true. It's gonna be straight. It's gonna be built to last. You're buying a better product.
Yep.
You know?
There was just this big project, housing project.
Yep.
I'm not gonna say which one, but when I was running, a lot of the union workers are like, oh, it's non-union. Just take a drive by and look at it and see for yourself. And I thought, I mean, how bad could it be? And you're looking at like the eaves and you're like, oh my gosh, it's terrible.
Cowboy stuff.
Yeah.
Cowboy stuff. I mean, but look, it's like sometimes they're hard to beat on some of these jobs, you know?
And if you're gonna try to go head to head with some of these big companies, you gotta be good. Cause I'm telling you right now, if you show up to me and you demand this and this, and I see you're working as trash, get the fuck out of here. You know what I mean? Like go. But if I know that you putting out this quality, it is hard to say, damn, I really don't. I can't argue with what you asking for. Yeah. So no, I get that.
That's really what that's really what we try to espouse. Not to turn this into an ad, but I mean, like I learned that really from my dad and his dad brought it on to him. It's just like, look, man, do a good job. Mm-hmm. People are paying a lot of money for union guys, but also the equipment's not cheap, especially with all this tariff and all this nonsense. Like, people are paying good money for it. They want it to work. They want it to look nice. They want to know. Don't talk at people. Don't It's so easy in our industry to just like talk mechanical jargon, throw terms around like heat pumps and confuse people, and it's just. We really try to just dumb it down.
For sure.
Get people to understand what they're buying, what you're getting, to know and walk people through that process. Yeah. We're not running scams, not trying to trick people. It's just like, look, man, we want you to buy something that's going to last, something that you can believe in, and call us if you need help. Not call because I'm setting you up in like a snare. I sold you this piece of shit so I can get you across the 1-year warranty line, and then I can just bleed you out on maintenance. It's like, no, call me when it counts.
What's the main thing A.G. O'Brien does? Like, what's your bread and butter? What's your main thing?
God, it's funny. We get asked that a lot. All of it. No, don't build our office that. We've always done commercial work. That's been really like the primary focus. And when I got in the office, it was always like my parents would be, hey, we'd get the bids from the general contractors. Your McGuffs, your Johnson Wilsons. Like, hey, we're bidding this. Good luck. And that's always a knife fight, right? Everybody else in town's looking at it. It's just a race to the bottom. But then there'd just be these dry spells where there wouldn't be any action. And I was just like, why? Why is there not always stuff to bid? Why is there not always stuff building? Why is there not always things going on? Because we would get slow. If you lose bids and there's no work, you're laying people off. It's just, there's not a lot to do. So people go home, right? And feast or famine sometimes. So I tried to push us in a direction, especially after COVID, to do service, maintenance, fix the shit people got. Yep. Because sometimes, especially in hard times, it's like, hey, I'm not going to build new. I'm just going to keep what I got. Yep. You know what I mean? I'm going to keep that going. And it's job security in the sense that, like, your pipes are going to clog eventually. Your furnace is going to break. Your boiler's going to need a part. Something's going to go wrong with it unless you're taking care of it yourself. So it's just, that is really what kind of kept the lights on. So we've been trying to punch more into that residential and commercial service space. So we do a little bit of both, But I mean, I would say we're known for doing commercial work. We're doing that Lakeview apartment downtown next to the hospital, Black Bear Event Center, the Hermantown Ice Arena. There's a few others, but I mean really where I kind of started getting involved on the scene. I'm going to butcher his last name, but I talked to Chad Rochetti.
Yeah, Ronchetti.
Okay, I always like, man, yes, phenomenal guy. I remember when he was with the Duluth Economic Authority, and we grabbed lunch at Sir Ben's, and I'm like, man, why is there not more shit going on in Duluth? Like, what's going on? Like, why? You know what I mean? And he's just like, what do you mean? And he goes, I think you got to start talking to city councilors. I think you need to stop bitching on the sidelines and really, why is this sad? And it's just like, no, I mean, why don't you there's so much of that, man. Just like armchair Facebook warriors that just want to complain, but just like don't want to do the work. And that was kind of me. And I was just like, well, let me see, and I started to just kind of get to know people and get to learn about the community and why we are the way we are. And I mean, because from my perspective, I'm always on the prowl for something. Yeah. Who's building something? Who's adding on? If we're not going to budget for something, and budgeting is just a fancy term for like, hey, can I afford this? You know what I mean? And then you get the drawings down, and then that thing is, as we would call it, it goes and it hits the street, and we all bid for it, right? And I was just like, why isn't this town in just like a constant state of development? We have all the weapons to win, an airport, a seaport, an interstate, a railway.
Yep.
You know, I mean, I think it was like, 1963? There used to be like 106,000 people that lived here. You know, we've been kind of floating around this 84 for like a long time.
Yeah.
86, okay, right, you know. And so that's kind of, so I was doing project management, estimating. Some people I worked with were just like, why are you getting involved with, just do your fucking job. You know, but I was just like, no, this is part of the job.
It is, you gotta.
It's hunting down the work, it's finding the opportunities.
Companies hire PM peoples for a reason. Or public relate, PR, you know. Just to go out, I got my buddy Bill Olsen, who is
He's great.
One of the best people I know. Beautiful human, great guy. His only job is to go around and look for work. And you know how he does that? He takes them out to dinner, drinks, and play golf. And this, and I'm telling you right now, in like a month and a half, the guy has got $110 million worth of work. And that's just, you know, one quarter right now, you know, and he gets so excited, like, yeah, I got to meet this guy. They was thinking about using this company, but now they're going to use us. It's like, and it's cool. I would love to do something like that.
Business
I feel like
development.
It is. I'm good with talking to people. I'll take you out for dinner.
That's
drinks
half the game.
Just because.
Yeah.
I don't play golf, but I'll drive the shit out of that golf course.
That's the game.
You know, so hey,
Same.
what do you need? So,
Same.
But
So you jumped into politics.
No, I didn't. No,
Not as a
jumped.
politician.
No. I just kind of crow from the sidelines, like, do this, make it easier. Look, man, I think my angle is really this. Like, unapologetically, I would like to grow the business. Yes, I want to make some money. Okay, I'm not evil for that, but it's like, what I do think is like, if you get more action and you get more play in town, you'll have more people and more businesses to tax to solve a lot of the problems that afflict the community. You know, homelessness or unhoused, whatever the term is these days. You know, funding emergency services, the streets we're always crying about. You know, infrastructure, schools, all the things. You need people with money to come to town to open up and like, look, I deal with some tough people. You know what I mean? I mean, I'm basically a professional bootlicker. You know what I mean? I'm in the business of like, oh, how can I help you? You know, do this. And like, those people put food on my table, you know? And that's why it bums me out when people want to like, you know, light the torches and grab the pitchforks over like a Kathy Cargill. You know what I mean? I'm not saying she's like a super pleasant woman. You know what I mean? But like, hey, I think you would be hard pressed to find anyone in Canal Park that like got the short end of the stick. I mean, those people made fat stacks selling their houses, and she wasn't going to privatize the point. And I know this is like a hot button issue in town, but the point is, you get people like her that come, and she brings her rich friends. They open up businesses. They do jobs. They create opportunities. You know, and then you can tax them. You know?
I hear about it a lot. And I don't know where I fully stand on it, but I got a buddy, I ain't gonna say his name. But he's a wild dude. But we get in these conversations sometimes about like the Bill Gateses, and which I can't stand him at all. I hate him with a passion. You
Why?
know,
Why?
He's an asshole. I just hate him. Fucking hate the guy. Can't say him. But or you know the people who own Walmart. You know, but he say, well, fuck these rich guys. But I said, time out. One, we would all love to be that person. Okay, that's number one. Number two, you pull a Walmart from here. You pull a Sears. You pull the Amazon that's coming up. How many jobs is that? And we can hate it all we want, but I'm gonna tell you right now. If you want to build a city that's economically
Diverse.
stable and diverse, you whether you like it or not, you have to bring some of these places in. I mean, look what happened in Detroit. Detroit was the automotive industry of America at one point, and at the moment Ford and all those guys pulled out, it's a shithole, and it's what it is. Well, sorry, Detroit, but I'm just, what the fuck I'm talking about. But anyway, it's a give and take with a lot of things. It is. And you got to know what you can, I'm not saying break your morals down. Like if there's a company that's really doing some bullshit or you're treating people wrong.
Crack down on them.
Yeah, that's it. But if they're not, and they going to bring money into my community, come on.
Well, and the other thing too, people always argue like, once you get to that point in the conversation where you're like, well, they'll bring jobs. Then they say, well, those aren't good jobs anyways. It's a
What is a
job.
good job?
That's what I'm saying.
What is a good
And the
job?
people I'm usually talking to are not even working right
Yeah.
now. So I don't even want to hear from you. So.
No, I think it's just there's resentment, a little bit of jealousy with that. I think like you have to be to some degree okay with like, these people are coming to town. They're going to build this big project. They're going to use some government money. And people are like, well, why do they need TIF money? Why do they need that? I'm not trying to get into that, but it's like, look, man, they got to where they are because they're savvy. They're good. They're smart. They're not going to make a deal that's going to be like a losing proposition. You got to kind of buy into that. And but look, I think if you can look at it through the lens of like, that's a means to an end, right? Okay, let's get you here. Let's tax you so we don't have to keep raising taxes on the people. You know what I mean? Because everyone's always like, it's like, oh God, we're raising taxes again. It's like, yeah, man, because the commercial tax base is not sufficient. We got to get the people here. How do you get the people here? Depends who you ask. If you talk to Dan Harmon down at the deck, he's like, hey, this is a cultural thing. So it's got to be a hip place. It's got to be fun. It's got to be happening. Talk to however many developers in town. It's like, no, we need the houses. We need housing. You gotta get more of that. Me, I'm kind of like, you gotta get the jobs. You gotta get the jobs. You gotta have the opportunity. It's gotta be a business-friendly environment. Someone wants to set down roots, build a building, buy some real estate.
Which Duluth is, I'm hoping we get there.
We are, man. I think you've got the right people in the right seats. I think the mayor's been doing a great job. I think it's just changing the narrative. Like, look, trying to grow the population doesn't necessarily mean we're going to bulldoze Chester Bowl.
Yeah.
There's so many NIMBYs in town, right? That not in my backyard. And it's like, of course, nobody wants shit built by their house. It's like, but man, that's the name of the game. Sometimes I live in Chester Bowl, right? So I have a microscopic yard. My neighbor is like 5 inches from my house. And if I want to look at the lake, I got to go to a very specific spot on my alley and I can maybe like kind of see it. And I live on Grandview. That's my grand view of Lake Superior, right? And it's like, that's where my opinion, it's like, man, the view of the lake is it's a privilege, not a right? Buy the property down by the lake. Go down to the lake, right? There's just, the conditions to build just have to be easier. There needs to be more of that customer experience. How can I help? Because if it's difficult, you got to do mental gymnastics just to get a permit. Yeah. And then you get people just fighting you. It's like, you know what, man? I'm going to take my money and I'm going to go somewhere else where they're going to fall over themselves. Yep. But yeah.
For your fields, or just say your company specific.
Yeah. How
has it been getting workers and keeping employees? How's that been for you personally?
Good. I mean, there's been a with the workforce shortage, there's been an acute there's a big drive of people going into the trades now. Now people are like, okay, go into that. Go into the trades. So it's just developing the skill set. It takes years to get these people to know what they're doing, what they're getting into, how to perform the work, But no, that there's been a huge interest in the trades, which has been awesome.
Yeah, for sure. And we take a lot of kids, Aaron specifically, who works with us at NYS and at Denfeld. He does like trade trips almost every week, where we'd go down and sometimes we'd take the kids to learn to drive backhoes and bulldozers and things like that. We'd take kids to learn welding, or they went to the pipe fitters and stuff not so long ago. So we got so much interest from our youth that's in it, and even just some parents.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, this field is here. And there's so many places, that's just local where you can learn these trades, jobs that's ready to pull somebody in, So we're hoping to continue to get a lot of our kids in and keep them in Duluth because they like it here. They just haven't experienced much yet, so.
I think that's a huge part of it, keeping people here.
Yeah, especially with the colleges. We lose so many students to the cities, and if we could get some of those industries here that these students are going to school for, getting degrees in, it would be beautiful.
That's kind of that's the joke I make sometimes, right? Our number one export is college students. They just leave. I mean, when I met my wife 7 years ago, And she was a teacher down in Madison. And I learned a lot in the early part. And she was teaching down in Madison, right? And I spent a lot of time. We did long distance for about a year or so. I spent a lot of time down in Madison. And what I saw in Madison was a college town. Obviously, it's a capital. The layout's different. It's not a hill. It's flat. It's very flat. But what I noticed about that community was exactly what you're saying, right? They have a huge college.
Yep.
It's just an incubator for entrepreneurs. People graduate, they get a job right in the community, right? Just like the U does. And that is a town where, and again, I'm not trying to be political or anything, but like, find me a progressive pursuit that town doesn't espouse, that they're all about protesting, doing whatever. But it's also married to a very pro-business environment. You know what I mean? Where like they celebrate entrepreneurship. They're like, they're building businesses, they're expanding. Every time I go down there's always tower cranes, growth. And it's like,
I love Madison, man. It's fun.
It's super fun.
It's fun as hell.
And there's no reason why Duluth couldn't be that, in my opinion, right? They found that place where it's like, hey man, no, we can take care of those on the lower socioeconomic side of the bracket. We can like help those who need it most. We can grow our workforce. We can also have like a scalable economy where people can come here and make some scores.
For sure.
You know, that's just me, and I think it's just it seems to me Duluth sometimes falls into that vortex of like all or nothing, right? Where it's just like building is bad, you know, pursuing dollars is like whatever associated with greed. I mean, that's just my take, right? It's just being a little bit more open, I think would just go a long way. Because again, I don't want Duluth to be some huge metropolis. I live here for a reason, man.
Yeah, that's true. I
hate the cities.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I can see 100,000, but
Yes.
I don't ever want to be. Nah,
No,
I
man.
hate it. We don't. I don't think we got the infrastructure for it. One, number two, this isn't that kind of city. I love being the place that people come visit and leave. You know, like I used to, when I remember I first got here and people, and I come from the East Coast, you know, where the turnpike is a thing. You know?
Welcome to Duluth.
Yeah.
When you leaving?
Yeah, exactly. You only here, you said for a couple of days, I'm locked in. You know what I mean? So, but I remember people start bitching about Bitleyville traffic. And when I first got here, I didn't care. Whatever. Whatever. But now, I can't stand it. I'm like one of those residents where I'm like,
It's brutal.
oh, it's fucking brutal. But I do love that there's an extra 100,000 people that's here spending money. That's one thing I think about now as I get older. It's like, and guess what? They're leaving soon. And that's okay. Now we back to, I can get from Central Hillside to Joe's house in 17 minutes. You know?
Well, and not to throw shade on Canal Park and Burt, because I know we talked about this in the last one, but it's like, same thing. I'm from Duluth. You're not going to catch me in Canal Park in the summer.
Oh, for sure.
I'm not going down there.
Yep.
No, but I mean, I think like I look at like the metro, right? And I had a friend who lived in the cities and then he moved up here because I think he calculated he spent, I think, on average, like 2 weeks of his life a year in a car just on the commute. It was something like that. Don't quote me, but to me, the cities is very much like fun to go to, fun to leave.
Oh, that's it.
You know what I mean? And I don't want it to be huge here either. I just like, you know, why is Madison fun? Always something going on. Always fun. You need creative people coming in here with different ideas, doing fun shit. I think there could be more to add if we could just open up.
Yeah, and like you said, we getting there, and I'm excited to see where. I've been here for 8.5 years, and where we've gone since I've been here is, you know, I love it. I enjoy it. So, couple more questions. I'm gonna backtrack.
Yes.
So, do you have siblings?
Yes, I have a sister. She is a nurse. She works down in St. Paul. Very intense job. She's a emergency room nurse.
Oh God. Okay. So older, younger?
She's younger. 6 years younger than me.
Okay.
And that's it. And then I have 2 kids. We just had my wife and I. We had twins.
Oh, dope.
Yeah.
Boys, girls.
2 boys, identical twins. That's been a ride. We only wanted 2 kids.
Well, there you go.
We got them. Yeah, I already got my vasectomy, man. That was a ride.
Lock it down.
They kicked our ass. If that was like the joke I make is like if that was a job I was bidding, I definitely didn't read the specs or look at the plans. I completely underestimated what having children was going to be. No regrets. It's tough first few months to be sure, but no, it's good now.
Yeah, I told this story not too long ago, but I have friends Well, I have friends that live in upstate New York.
Yep.
And they got married, honeymoon babies, and they went to go get an ultrasound. Guy was like, "Oh yeah, you're having twins." Nah, 4.
Oh
my God.
That's it.
But then they decided, we're gonna do one more. Twins on the next one. I said, you have to be done. Like you got 6, and this was within a 2.5 year span. They got 6 kids. I say, oh my, dude, I couldn't imagine.
And they drive a bus? I mean, that is...
Shit. I think they do have a one of those passenger vans now. Pretty sure they got like a passenger or something van, but I was
sure.
Man.
Here's a question for you.
Yeah.
You sail.
Yes.
I see on your Facebook that you sail. It's so funny that we live in Duluth and I know so few people who actually have a sailboat and go and sail.
You guys should come out sometime. You should come out sometime.
I'm scared to death to get on a sailboot.
I know. I'd rather have like a big engine so I can just get back.
I mean, it's a better way to motor around. Look, I'm not gonna lie. I don't have the confidence to go out when there's like a big gale. Yeah. My wife and I, we go cruise on like beautiful sunny days. Mm-hmm. There's just something about it. Just throwing up a sail and just cruising.
We're gonna have to go out one day.
You really should. It's a great time.
It'll be fun.
It's a great time.
We'll tie it in with like if we do a taste to imports at like Barker's Island or something one day. We'll tie it in. Go.
Do big people sail? I've never seen a bigger guy.
You're not gonna tip the boat over.
No, I just want to know because where me and Joe need to stand probably is opposite. So if we on one side, that sailboat is done. So.
No, but I mean, I think it's funny, like from a business development side, I always try to get people sailing, and I get contractors like, man, I don't know if I want you to do the job, let alone like trust you with my life.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I'm going to do that or not.
Let's go golf.
Yeah. So, but no, I think there's always this like idea that if you come sailing, you're going to have to do work and jerk some lines and stuff. No, we usually have a crew. You can just come on and just, have a few beverages. We usually get good food. We have a great time. We go around the point. We go out in the big lake, go up the shore. Depends on where the wind's at.
All right,
but
we're coming out with you.
Yeah, it's a great time.
We'll be there.
And so how much upkeep is having a sailboat?
A lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot of maintenance. It's just, and it's expensive. I think that goes for any boat, right? Lines, storage, dock fees. We're right down on Harbor Cove, right on Park Point. So, pulling it out, putting it in. Our boat, my grandfather bought it in 1973.
Oh, cool.
And we've been at the same slip for, 50 plus years. Wow. Same boat. So, yeah, we just restored it, which was a pretty dramatic effort. But I'm happy it's done. Wasn't happy when we were doing it. But
what's the name of the boat?
Conquesta. Conquest in Latin, I think. My grandpa named the boat that.
I like that. All right, I see your ring.
Yes.
This isn't a wedding ring.
Is it? My wife would be cringing. Yeah, so this is, so I got a little too into Game of Thrones, and I was like, man,
we're gonna talk about that for a second when you're done.
I was like, I need a signet ring. So I was like, I want to do work envelopes with like, wax and shit. But I did not do that. So, I gave it a name, Perdurable. I got our wedding date, or our anniversary. It's actually coming up on Wednesday, 4/9/2022. A for Adatte. And then I just made up a family sigil. We didn't really have one, right? And after just watching...
We didn't really have one.
We didn't really have... Yeah,
We all have one.
Yeah.
I needed a sigil, right? So I found a necklace that was a boat anchor, basically. That was my grandfather's, and I made that my signature, and because I changed that on my driver's license, because I had like a very half.
You really got into games.
Oh yeah, I went full autist on it. Yeah, and I was like, I'm going. Oh,
what's your kid's name?
Yeah.
John and what?
Lord, no, Marshall and Harrison.
All right.
No, but
yeah.
I saved the dramatic names for my dogs. So. That was kind of like my wife was like, I think there's like a country song that's like, it's like you name the kids, I'll name the dogs. I keep my dogs, I'm on my third one now, but it was Atlas, Prometheus, and we're on Praetorian. But our kids have normal names.
Ron Praetorian?
Yeah.
All right. I know the first two. What is Ron Praetorian?
Oh, so Praetorian was the bodyguards of the Roman emperors. We kind of went
I
from...
was going to say the Praetorian Guard.
Yeah, the Praetorian Guard.
Okay.
And he's for sure that. But we bounced over to Rome, or I did, because I just wanted to go something different.
Prometheus is a tough name. That's just a tough.
Yeah, well, I did that because people were like, "Hey, man, you can only have one syllable." I was like, "No, watch this."
Yeah,
and it was kind
crazy.
of it was a mouthful to say, but I also didn't. I did that because I didn't want other people. And I also taught the dogs Game of Thrones commands, like the Starks, like to me instead of come. I wanted to give them commands so other people couldn't tell them what to do.
And you know what? It's brilliant.
I just way too into that show.
Yeah.
Really sad how it ended.
Favorite character in Game of Thrones?
Tywin Lannister.
Okay, I'm alright with that. Tywin's
Love a good bad guy.
He's great.
Well,
Yeah.
wait a minute. Now, which
Tyron is
The father died on the John.
No,
Not the half man.
No,
The old man.
Tyron is the.
That's Tyrion.
Oh, that is Tyrion.
Yeah,
His
like
old man.
The half man.
I liked his old man.
Yeah, they shot him on the toilet taking a shit. Mine is Arya.
Oh,
Oh,
she's badass.
Arya is.
yeah.
I just want an Arya spinoff. Bad. That's what I want.
Well, I mean, could you not see HBO doing that? I mean,
They better. Well, they better not fuck this. Whatever.
House of the Dragon?
House of the Dragon. Up.
no, look, they just rushed the last season.
Yeah.
They just did, you know what I mean? I was just like, what, I mean, God, all of that for it to end that way?
In that
No,
way.
I tell this story all the
That's my
time, but we used to have our football meetings on Sunday night, and our coaches would all say, "Oh, it's Game of Thrones. You can't have that." And I used to tease them. I'm like, "You guys are a bunch of nerds.
Oh, yeah.
What's wrong with
Now
you?"
look at you.
And then I watched it, and then especially season 1. Who was the guy? He was like the family of he was the head of the Winter family.
Oh,
Eddard Stark?
yeah.
Yes. When they chopped his head off, I was like, okay, this is good.
It's
because
go
I
time.
thought he was gonna be like the main guy.
Yeah. The first 2 episodes, you get a 3. Like, okay, 4. Damn. What just happened?
George R.R. Martin loves killing a good character.
Oh yeah.
That's what I like to
You
show.
can't fall in love with nobody.
No.
You can't.
No, you're probably going to get sniped.
Yeah, and it's beautiful though. I
Yeah.
love it. Very cool. Do you have any shows that you're watching right now?
No. So, I mean, like, with the streaming wars, you know what I mean? It's, my wife, Chelsea, she's so thrifty, and you have to have, like, 8,000 subscriptions just to, to watch a
That's
good show.
Joe. That's Joe.
Oh yeah, we have everything.
It sucks. It's like, I think it started off with good intentions, and now it's just like, it's almost like too much to go from. I think I want to go back to HBO. HBO always just seems to have reliable shows.
Showtime does too.
Does it?
Man, Showtime got some heat right now. Some heat. And here's the thing, I don't have any subscriptions except Prime and Netflix. I pirate everything else.
I think we're bumming off
Big
somebody. I think we're using Chelsea's
Huge.
sister's subscription. And then I think we pay for another one. It's funny. I think I'm wondering when like the age of everyone sharing each other's passwords is going to end.
Oh, soon. Yeah, soon.
Companies
They
are
ain't
white.
making no money off us. Let's tell you that right now.
Yeah, no. I mean, I think we try to, especially with our kids, we try to keep the screen time down. Not to be like, ugh, but it's a thing.
Yeah. How
And-
old are they again?
Me or my kids?
Your kids.
My kids they are 17 months.
Got it.
So we are in the thick of it. They are not walking yet, which is great. I mean, I think because they were premature, developmentally they were behind. And I was like, I don't give a shit. That's great.
Fuck it.
Like, I mean, like they're gonna probably, going to destroy everything as soon as they're running.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But my son Marshall's kind of getting through that temper tantrum, like that like
My
toddler
wife is
tantrum.
too.
Yeah, it's just like, man.
Only way to go, Holly.
Yeah. No, I mean, I love having kids. It's just, it was just a huge adjustment.
For sure.
Just in the context that, like, it's nothing like, I was always like, oh man, I've had dogs, kids shouldn't be a problem. And it's just like, no, it's nothing.
You
like
can't
having
leave your kids
Yeah.
at home in the cage.
No, it's not that it's
You
like,
shouldn't. Just say that.
it's not even like it's particularly difficult work. It just never ends.
Yeah.
Never
It
ends.
just never ends.
I tell people this all the time when they're like, "Oh, I'm so tired," or "I got so much going on." It's like, man, until you have a kid where you can't just shut it off, you don't know.
That was tough for me because I was just like, oh my, and I don't know, my wife is a saint, so she stays at home. She's like eternally patient, you know, and that's kind of the joke, right? I'm probably the biggest fucking baby in the house with all like the crying I do, and she's just like, I've been with these two all day, and you're here for like an hour for bedtime, you know what I mean? And you're pissing and moaning, like, shut up.
Well, shut your ass.
Yeah, you know, but no, it's good. I just think one thing I would just say, I think more people should know, because I was always told, it's like, oh, it's going to be great. You're going to love it. It's going to be the best. And it is the best. But I don't feel like I got the other side of the coin of like how difficult it is.
It's the best, but it's difficult.
Yeah, oh, for sure.
The best and the worst, you know?
I work with kids every day. People ask me all the time, oh, Paz, you would be a great father. I know that. I think I would be a bomb-ass dad. But the thing is, I work with kids every day. So when I go home, I want to go home. My problem is, my world never shuts off either, you know, because we become parents to these kids. Not in a way that y'all are parents, you know, because like I said, they just don't come home with us. But everything else, we get the 2 o'clock in the morning phone calls, 6 a.m. phone calls, even sometimes from parents. Oh, my son won't wake up. What you mean your son won't wake up? Drag his dumb ass out of bed. Because when I get over there, that's what I'm going to do. So, well, here, listen to you. All right, here I come. I bet his ass won't sleep no more. So, you know, so, but I love what I do. So I know being a parent, even though it's tough and you got to deal with the things that you've probably heard so many people talk about, you know, but now it's your problem to deal with. Yeah, I don't know. It'd be tough.
I got a question for you. So with your organization, and that's Neighborhood Youth Services, so what is like the primary focus? I've read about it. I've gotten like parcels and pieces of it, but what is the primary, like, the purpose and the driver of what you do?
So the purpose is, and it might sound cliche, but it truly is to break a cycle. One thing I hate, and this sounds crazy, and me and Aaron just talked about this, is people come back and visit all the time. You know, kids that, you know, are 20, 30, but they come back and they're not doing anything. And it's like, why is that? What are we missing? What gap haven't we filled? You know, to have students come back to say, hey, I got a career now. I'm successful in this. I have a family. We moved out of state. You know, got my own company, things like that. My goal is to, and I look at a lot of the families that we serve, and they're so disconnected. Parents, a lot of times, don't support their kids in any way, you know? So how can we, one, build a relationship to earn that trust, to then show them different avenues that they can take, and then have them actually take them. You know, I want to get to a point where we don't exist, you know? So we're getting kids into the trades, number one, making sure they graduate, because that's a big issue. Schools up here, we were the worst in the state the last 2 years, you know, when it comes to Lincoln and Denfeld, you know, so having kids start to take education serious, because once you're educated and you can read, just that alone, your confidence goes up. You know, we have a lot of high school students that still read on a 4th or 5th grade level, which is tough, you know, and
Super
that's
tough.
It's wild, you know, and that's a teaching problem as well as a parenting issue, you know, of like, you know, we want to drive in these kids just the importance of education, because where it can take you, where it can get you, you know, and you can get off government assistance. You can own your own things, you know, and then pass that down, generational wealth, you know. So we are in a lot of different, we do a lot of things in NYS. We do tutoring. We do meals every day. We do a lot of educational career building field trips. We run juvenile justice programs, so I'm at AJC every Tuesday. I run a youth diversion for St. Louis County for the attorneys, you know. So that wraparound support piece, we're involved in so much. And we serve 60 to 80 kids a day in-house, you know. So it's a lot, but the goal of each of our programs is to just get these students, you know, these youth to a point where they can be us one day, you know, have a career, build a family, things like that, you know.
I think that's huge. And I think my wife, before she was staying at home, she was a teacher, and she taught at Myers-Wilkins. Okay. And down in Madison, I cannot remember the name of her school, but that was a tougher school, right? And I always make the joke when I met my wife, She graduated from Madison. I was a little bit more conservative when we met, and our relationship was more or less forged in the fires of the Brett Kavanaugh Supreme Court justice hearings, right? And we met somewhere in the middle, right? Because I had these like preconceived notions of like how to make it in the world and how to be successful and how to do things, right? And like I come from generational wealth, right? I had something that I was able to kind of come into, and what was nice about working with my wife, because she was like, hey, you need to come to my class and see some of my students, right? And she taught 5th grade or 6th grade, and she was like, hey, I have students in here that are at like a 3rd grade reading level, or some can't even really write, you know? This is not a pick yourself up by the boots situation. These kids need help. They need after-school support. If they're gonna have any chance of not falling into government assistance.
That's it, the cycle.
It's super important, that work and what you're doing.
Yeah,
you
and
know?
it is. And I love it. And there are way more, I don't want to use the word failures, but non-success stories than success, and we want to figure out just how to change that. How do we have more, good outcomes in the end all around than just the same old,
Yeah.
So, and what does that look like? It's tough. You don't know, because the hardest thing is, say, in this example I use all the time, we talk to a parent to say, hey, I want you to get off government assistance. Hey, let's get you a job here. But we fight against a system that makes government assistance the only way you can live. And here's an example. So we had a parent come in, and this just happened again just a couple weeks ago. She got this voucher from the city of she can have $1,600 up to rent covered for 2 years, as well as all of her utilities, which means you are living for free. That's $2,000 a month, okay? I don't pay $2,000 a month mortgage, but this is what you have for 2 years. The issue is she can't make more than $1,500 a month. I'm thinking, and she has food stamps at $1,000, cash at $800. I told her, you will never get a job at this point in your life that can cover those expenses.
Right.
So how can I confidently tell her, get off of government assistance? I can't, because now you're in a way worse place than what you are right now. And you're in a good spot right now, But it's also not building her confidence to do anything. She's not getting educated on how to teach her kids how to not be dependent, So it falls on us to do that. But all they know is, oh, my mom's doing good right now, and this is what she is. She don't got a job. So it's a up here problem that we're trying to solve from down here.
I think they call that learned helplessness.
Yeah,
right. And it just happens in like a cycle. So I was listening to your podcast when you had Scott Lyons on, and like he made it sound like at some point in the '90s it was like, hey, we had organizations, nonprofits, local government entities, the business community. We were all in
working
sync
together.
And then some people came along and were like, nah, fuck that.
And
that's too much of a good thing.
It's insane to me when I hear that.
Why?
I mean,
so how do you get back to that?
Even when Deanna was on, Deanna talked about how, she had a kid young, but she went to high school and was able to bring her kid to class, or they had the nurseries in the school that these students can bring their kids to. That's insane. You'll never hear of that these days. And why is it? Why do we have so many silos now? Even in just the field that I work in. One thing, we just did a nonprofit mixer last Friday, and it was dope. We had a bunch of different organizations, probably 15, 20 organizations.
Sweet.
50-something people come out. And it was all about how can we combine resources, how can we work together for the betterment of the community. And it's just, you don't see those things around here. It's just, oh, I do this, we don't need y'all help. And it's like, yes, what the fuck you do?
How do you do that? Because sometimes I've had, and again, I'm not dogging on any other organization, but like sometimes I see that with like, and to people watching, I'm not dogging on you, but sometimes I see like these economic advocacy groups, and sometimes like Apex, the Chamber, the Hermantown Chamber, the Downtown Greater
Duluth,
Council, boom, boom, boom. It's like we're all trying to fight for the same scraps.
We on the same block. back.
Yeah, and it's like, and if the nonprofits are working that way, how do you, other than everyone getting in the same room and being like, yeah, we are all doing that, and we all are kind of working against each other.
Everybody thinks, oh, that person or that entity is trying to take something from us. I'm not. I'm just trying to figure out how we can combine resources so it's less of a burden on us, less of a burden on you, but we have more resources to help people. That's the only goal. I don't want your money. I don't need anything else other than how can we make sure these people are good, you know?
Yeah, right.
So it's tough. And to be honest, I tell people all the time, kids are easy. Adults suck.
Yeah.
I do not like working with adults. That's why I'll always be in the industry that I'm in.
Yeah.
Because I don't have patience for childish 50-year-olds. I don't, you know?
Do you feel with the other nonprofits that you're kind of running in the circles with and going to these mixtures with, like, do they resonate with your message?
Oh, 100%. 100%.
So, I mean, is it like almost like forming like a nonprofit council, or you carve up resources, or would it just lead to more like infighting, or not infighting, but
a lot of it too is the resources for nonprofits right now are just not there. You know,
I think too that's kind of what happens is people get protective of their money. You know, and you got money coming in. It's like, well, man, if we start to partner with them, we could lose some of our funding.
Right.
And so it kind of forces everybody to stay in your own little bubble.
And the wild thing is that's not. They think of it wrong, because me saying, all right, just say I got kids who need help, chemical dependency. Guess what? I don't do that. But I can send them to you. That's all pretty much what I want. Or you come teach a class, or, you know, speak about certain things. Those are the type of things I need. Or if we want to combine and do an event and stuff like that. But other than that, I'm not asking you to spend your dollars here. I'm just saying, let me know what you have to offer. I want to make a resource guide that's a running resource guide where you can flip through and say housing is it. They got a housing section. Here's all the organizations that work with housing. If you need clothes or food closet, here's all the organizations. That's it. Those are the type of resource I want to do. So when somebody walk in my door and say, hey, Pez, we're struggling this way. Hey, we don't have that service here, but here's who have it. Boom, go down there.
Nonprofit Yellow Pages.
Done.
well, that's almost like I'm again, not to bring this back to construction.
Sponsored by A.G. O'Brien.
Yeah.
Boom, got him.
Well, no, but I mean, I think what I'm hearing kind of, and again, I'm not trying to bring this back to construction, but like that almost sounds like defined. We would call that, if I'm bidding a job, right? Defined work scopes, right? Like, hey, if you want to bid the drywall, hang on the walls, you want to do the windows, you want to do the plumbing, you want to do the heating, fire protection, electrical, like that way you don't get this overlap where everyone's just kind of like, hey, I'm doing this too. I'm doing it. It's just like, no, like, hey, this is your job. This is your lane. And we just need you. Because I mean, like what you're saying.
Good at that.
Yeah, no, that's all I'm trying to do, right? And it's just like me, I see myself as someone that's like, hey, I'm agreeable. Maybe I struggle a little bit on the follow-up side, but it's like, is it a matter of like allocating resources, getting people together? I'm down to clown. I'm ready to help, but I just don't know. I just feel like I talk to a lot of people, and I'm like, well, what next? What do we do? Talk's cheap.
There's a reason I decline meetings. People get so mad. Pez, you supposed to, you know why? Because we talked about this shit 6 months ago. And you know what my time is? My time is so valuable because, especially Jordan, we're busy as hell. We do the podcast, we do taste reports, we coach football. He got a business to run. I'm running NYS. You think I got time to sit down and talk to y'all for a half hour about something that we're gonna talk about in another year? Fuck out of here. Send me an email, and I'm not gonna read that. I'm gonna delete it.
Yeah,
call me.
No, because nothing's gonna happen. You want to move the ball downfield.
That's it.
You know what I mean?
And I'm a doer, and people know that. Like I am a doer, and some people get intimidated by it. I don't care. If I'm ready to get something done, whether you're with me or not, I'm going. Catch up if you can. If not, I'll see you when I see you.
What roles with your organization are there businesses in the community that get involved? They just kind of throw money at you, or like what does that look like?
So that's a tough one. So I'm working on right now trying to build up a base of whether it's funders, people who donate, people that we can connect our kids to for jobs.
Right.
People who we got a cool relationship now with Maurice's where whenever our kids go in for a job interview, they provide the clothes for them, which is dope. And our kids go in, it's like they shop, and they tell them, take whatever you want. And it's cool. And these kids, they haven't had new clothes like that in a while.
Big props to Maurice's.
Dope. I love Maurice's for that.
Totally.
You know? But those are the type of things we're looking for. And a lot of people think, oh, you're reaching out. We ain't got money. Dog, I'm not asking you for that. I'm saying, do you have anything that could help our students be successful as they go out into the world? That's it. Some places I say, hell yeah, we need cash. A lot of people ask, how can we help? Programming, we got. I truly don't need y'all help. Volunteer, come volunteer at the event, cool like that. But funding is huge for especially local. You got the same, say, 5 pots in Duluth, and one of them just dried up. So now you got all these entities trying to fight for these slices of pies that it's only 3 slices left. So it is. It's
What just dried up though? What I didn't.
Like Parks and Recs. Oh, that was a big funder. We used to get $30,000, from Parks and Recs. Then it dropped to 10, and now it's at 0. You have nothing there. But now you got Ordean, which a lot of people hands Ordean. You got Irving, shit ton of people on Irving. You get some CDBG money, block grant money, but even that, we just had a meeting with a lady from Enbridge come over. She wanted to see a program, so we ran around. She loved it. But she said, hey, I want to let you know something. We just had the most money they ever give out is $7,000. They just had an entity write a proposal to them for $350,000 because they lost their federal money. Then another entity wrote for like $275,000. And she said, we can't do that. We can barely give anybody the full $7,000. You have to write such a unique and outlandish proposal that it makes sense to do something like that. So. Yeah.
ChatGPT?
Man.
No, I'm joking. But I mean, like, so what are the main players in the nonprofits? I don't even know.
Around here?
Yeah.
Ordean, Irving.
Okay.
Like I said, CDBG, United Way.
Yep. Okay. Another United Way.
Yeah, and then Louis K. Johnson sometimes, and then Duluth Superior Area Community Foundation.
Okay.
There was a big, but. You got Duluth fighting for money from them, and you got Superior fighting for money from them.
So are all those organizations really centralized around youth support, or is it just like different things?
Different things.
Different things.
Yeah, it just depends. Because think about it, youth organizations in Duluth is us, VYC, Boys and Girls Club. That's it.
I mean, the data's in, and from what I've read, and again, I haven't read these peer-reviewed papers, but enough articles where it's just like, man, if you support the youth, and again, we're talking people on that lower, regrettable socioeconomic bracket, like the after-school programs, the lunches in the schools, the weekend stuff. I mean, statistically, they're more likely to graduate high school,
for sure,
to get a job, to get married or not have a kid out of wedlock or whatever, and then not fall back into the cycle. So it's really about building that social safety net, which everybody has a vested interest in.
For sure, and you got to catch them young. Like if you don't get kids by middle school, and I'm talking beginning of 6th grade, most of these kids is done because they're so locked into who they are, or they just haven't been to school for that long. I got a 16-year-old kid right now. He ain't been to school since he was in 4th grade. 4th grade.
Whoa.
And so now he's in my diversion program. So now we're figuring out how to get this kid back in school, but in a way where he doesn't feel like I don't know anything, like plug him in the right way, and have him build his confidence on the side so he's confident in the classroom and things like that. So, man, there's so many, and that's why I love my job too, because 1, it's a challenge. 2, you are giving hope to people who, without that, they've already given up on themselves.
1,000%.
You know what I mean? And they'd tell you, we've had students come to us plenty of times and say, what's the reason I'm doing this? Like, I'm done. Like, my parents don't care. I'm already homeless, shit like that. I sell drugs and make money. And they're cool with that. You know what I mean? But you can tell deep down inside, it's fucking them up. They just don't know a way out. So we're trying to be that way out, so. Okay,
but I'm not trying to turn this interview around. Sorry. No, I got. So, listen to your podcast. I've heard some of your stories. I just listened to the one with Jason Manning, and you made that comment about stealing bikes. And how did you? So, like, you obviously sound like you when you were younger, you know, you may or may not like ran into some trouble, stir some trouble up.
It was terrible.
Yeah. So, and I'm not dogging you, but like, at what point or how were you like, you know what, not for me. I'm changing course. There was like, what happened and who had a role in that?
There was a family that took me in PA.
Yeah.
Got some real bad. So I said, we grew up from youngin' gang, selling drugs since I was 10, stuff like that. So our role models were, I mean, my role model at the time, even at 15, was Griselda Blanca. Like, you know, the queen pen billionaire, you know, $1 billion a month lady. But a family took me in PA, and I moved from a 1-bedroom project apartment to a 15-bedroom house. And it was like, what the hell is this? You know, how do you even acquire something like this without, you know, being on the streets making illegal money or what? I just didn't know.
Right.
You know, so when you grow up and all you see is violence and negativity, then that's what you're drawn towards. When you get around things that can be positive and you figure out here there's other ways to be successful rather than going this route, and then I started to be pulled in that direction, you know. So that was kind of the start of it for me. And my pop pushed me a lot, you know, to just say, hey, look, one, I know you got scholarships to play football or wherever, but you know you also don't have to go this route. You can go to college if you want, based on how smart you are, you know, and if you don't want to go to college, you can go to trade school, you know. So he showed me every option possible, even knowing that I already had a good option, you know, to get out of my situation, you know. So, and just pushed me to become like, and he always asked, what do you want to do? You know, you don't have to know the answer. And it was more of a rhetorical thing of like, think about it. Just start thinking about it. If you got questions, I'm here. If you got questions I can't answer, I'm going to put you in front of somebody who can. You know, so he was always super supportive, treated me exactly how he treated his kids, stuff like that. So, and I always knew, like, I'm trying to be that one day for other people. And I've always been, like, a leader, you know, and people always follow me. And I've been blessed to be able to be very good at what I do, working with people, you know, building relationships, trust, stuff like that. So, I think it would have been more of a travesty for me to not lean into those skills, you know, and things that I'm just naturally good at, than to just ignore them and say, I'm not good at looking at people struggle and saying, somebody else going to do it. I hate when people tell me that. Oh, there's somebody else. No, it's not. They've been in this situation for 10 years. You telling me, hey, if somebody else was going to do it, they would have been did it. And I can't personally.
It's so true.
Yeah, I cannot sit around and wait for that Superman to come. I can't. I'm Superman at this point. You know what I mean? So
no, I agree, and I think that speaks to like a lot of people where it's like, man, can somebody else just do that? Yeah. Can the city of Duluth just clean up downtown? It's like, yeah, man, but that's going to take resources, work, people like leaning in, helping out, you know. And I think that speaks so true to what you're saying. You know, if you really want to make an impact, you really gotta lean in and not just like depend on somebody else.
Exactly. Yep. So. And I appreciate the question. A lot of people don't ask me a lot of questions, so I appreciate it. So, as we wrap up, I'll ask you a question we ask everybody.
Yeah.
And don't think of it as like if you can go back and change something.
Yeah.
It's more of if you could see your younger self once, what would you say to yourself?
Oh, man, just go into plumbing. Just go into plumbing. It's not that bad. Find a way to talk to your parents about, getting into the office, and then just work hard. Don't, I mean, you're not going to go do anything. Just stick to this. And it would have been nice if I could have gotten. And I got no sense in talking about the roads not taken, but that's really what I wish I would have done. Yeah. Just what I was doing just earlier with a more focused, concentrated approach.
For sure. Well, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Well, hey, thanks for being on with us, man.
Thank you,
This was fun.
Yeah, it was great.
It's a good time,
I appreciate you guys.
Yeah, it's good to hear your story, and like it is for everybody else. So, and like always, thank y'all for listening. Like, subscribe, and share, and we'll see you next time.